Hey y'all, I'm Damon Oates, founder of Deco Exchange. Who else has heard that crafting is just a hobby? I turned my love of crafting into a thriving multi-seven-figure company, surrounded myself in an amazing community, and met some amazing business owners along the way. I'm here to show everyone that makers mean business.
What is up, you guys? It is Parker here with the Makers Mean Business podcast. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed the last episode. I know Roberto just has so many great things. He's been doing this for such a while. He's been such an inspiration to me, a good friend to me. It was just really great hearing from him and him taking the time to, add some value to the podcast. I love that. So thanks again, Roberto, for that. Y'all, today on today's episode, we're talking all about me. This episode, if you guys are just jumping in randomly or haven't heard before, we were going through all of the different speakers at Wreath Makers Live and talking a little bit about what they talked about and kind of my viewpoint on what it is and the importance of it and how a little bit of how it's affected our business as Deco Exchange. I kind of went off script, I guess. Not off script, but Wreath Makers Live was the first time I spoke on stage. And I mean, between you, me, and everyone else that listens to the podcast, I spoke about video editing. It's not really something I'm particularly super passionate about. It's not something I consider myself really an expert at, but it was kind of like a void in the Wreath Makers Live curriculum that Damon and I thought needed to be filled. So I was happy to do that. But even before I started even talking about video editing, and we'll talk a little bit about video editing and the importance of content later in the episode, I kind of started off by thanking a lot of people. Honestly, looking back, I didn't even think to thank the community, and I should have. So if you were there and I didn't thank you, I apologize. But just thanks to you guys too, honestly. It kind of Wreath Makers Live kind of inspired me to start recording the podcast again, and I hope I continue to do it. Sometimes stuff happens and I don't do it, and it kind of just falls through the cracks. But there were just so many people that they came up to me and they're like, "I love the podcast. When are you going to do more episodes?" It was like an overwhelming amount of people stopped and told me that. So if you guys talk to me at Wreath Makers Live, or if you ever sent us a message or anything like that, kind of encouraging that, I do appreciate that, because sometimes it's kind of like a chore. Sometimes it feels like a chore. I know it sucks to hear that, but it's just, another part of business, I think, where sometimes you just have to do what you need to do. And hearing you guys and getting to speak at Wreath Makers Live kind of really, it spoke to me. I think I spoke to myself in a way about content and all of that. So thanks. Long story short, thanks to you guys for listening. And yeah, that was just great. So last episode, I kind of alluded to it, but again, when I got on stage, one of the first few things that I said was, if you don't leave with anything else from this event, leave with a new friend. And I realized, like, you can't make friends from listening to the podcast, but I think it's a really important philosophy. And if that saying or if that statement meant anything to you at all, go back to the last episode and listen to what Roberto had to say and a little bit of what I had to say at the end, because it's really, really affected our business as a whole. Just networking, just getting out there and meeting people. Even as an introvert, it's really, really important to kind of get to know people and know what they do and know how you can help them, they can help you. It's just a really great, it's just the makings of a really great relationship if you can go into it thinking that. So that's kind of my thought on networking. And I brought it up on stage again because I feel like it's such an important thing at an event, to make sure that you get as much out of it as you can in terms of meeting people. So on top of all that, I also talked a little bit about mental health. If y'all have listened to me before, I usually kind of weave some mental health stuff in there every once in a while. It's been a really important part of my growth as a business owner, as a person, as a partner, as a human, whatever you want to call it. So if any of you guys are out there and you're struggling, maybe you're dealing with some stuff, get help. Find a therapist, find a friend, find someone you can talk to. I know having a therapist, it sounds like taboo, it sounds crazy. It sounded crazy to me for a while, you guys. I thought it was kind of just all a bunch of BS. I didn't think it was that important, but I can honestly say that finding a good therapist and finding someone that I can kind of just untangle everything in my head and my body and my emotions and all of the things and really understand what's going on has helped me so much that I can't help but tell everyone out there, you should try it. If you haven't tried it, you should try it. If you think you might need it, you probably do. If you don't think you need it, you probably do. If you think you need it, you absolutely do. So there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing weird about it. And it's just a really great thing to do. And it's just a part of taking care of yourself. So make sure you guys are taking care of yourself mentally. On top of that, I got to actually talk a little bit about the topic. Yo, I was worried. It's funny. I was worried about not having enough to talk about. Talking about something like video editing or content creation is extremely technical, and you guys might actually relate or understand how I'm relating to it right now, because we're doing the same thing on the podcast, right? I'm going to try to tell you, I don't even have a slideshow to talk about video editing and the importance of video editing and how it can be useful. So I kind of dug myself into another hole, but it is what it is. Anyway, I was worried about not being able to meet the 45-minute deadline or timeline. So I spoke about the things that I just mentioned probably for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then I spoke again about video editing for probably another 15 minutes. And then luckily, we had some people in the room with mics and stuff, so we got to do some Q&A. So that was really fun. So overall, it was a really cool experience to be able to speak in front of a few hundred people on stage for the first time. My parents were there, which was really cool. Damon was there, which was really cool. A lot of my friends and my supporters and my big cheerleaders and a bunch of the community was really there to witness that. So I think it was just overall a really cool experience. But that's enough about me and what I think, you guys. Let's talk about a little bit of content creation and video editing. So on stage, I went through kind of what I call just the basics of video editing. I was thinking of a way to try to explain, like an analogy, what video editing is like. And I think I ended up using like a phone charger or something that was sitting on the stage. But I tried to explain it as video editing is kind of like a string. Your video that you've done is the string. So you can cut the string, you can tape two pieces of string together, you can tie them together, you can loop them back around, you can change the color, you can cut it, you can glue it, you can do all kinds of things to the string to make it look slightly different or appear differently. So video editing is kind of the same way, right? If you are doing something on a video and let's say your camera topples over and you maybe you say the wrong words, or maybe you you know, one day I might it's really funny because one day I might just publish an unedited podcast, because our podcast editor, I should have mentioned her on the last episode, but her name's Sarah. She she gets to listen to me, and when I mess up, she gets to edit it, right? So she doesn't edit the video because there's no video part, but it's just the audio. So if I mess something up, I'll go back, oh my gosh, Sarah, can you just remove those last 30 seconds, because I've just lost my mind. I lost my train of thought. I need to drink some water. I choked on my own breath, whatever it is. She gets to hear all of that stuff. So the long story, or the short version of that is, as a video, you can cut out all of those pieces that you don't want. And if next time you guys watch Damon's, maybe a live on Deco Exchange or any kind of live production video, listen and watch what Damon does, because we do it in a very specific way. He will kind of hang out and chit chat and answer questions in the comments, and then he'll have a break where he just does strict tutorial style instructions, right? So he'll say, cut the mesh 10 inches, add all the ties on the bottom first or the top first or whatever it is. You guys, I don't know what it is, but he'll do it in batches because it's easier to edit that way, right? So I can go in, or I shouldn't say our team can go in, they can clean out all of the BS, all of the chit chat where Damon's just saying hey to everybody and banning the trolls and whatever it is. And then they can also find the tutorial part of the audio, and they can make it more of a tutorial. And I say that, make it more of a tutorial, because if I took one of my Facebook lives and I just threw it out onto YouTube or Instagram or whatever it is, chances are that video wouldn't really resonate with anyone, right? The purpose of the live video was to be live and to hang out with the people that were there right then. The power in video editing is you can change the tone of the video. So in the power of video editing, I could have taken out all of the BS that Damon was chit-chatting about, all the trolls, and that would leave just the tutorial part, right? So I could speed up all of the parts of him cutting the mesh over and over again, or making the bow, or whatever it is, and I can leave all the parts of the tutorial. I could cut down that, hour and a half live, 2 hour live, whatever it is, and trim it down into a 12-minute tutorial. And that 12-minute tutorial will do so much better on something like YouTube, or even reposting it back on Facebook. But y'all, none of that would have been possible without video editing. So as far as the technical stuff, you guys, I have a whole course on video editing. Myself and Christine Jerry, we did something called the Recycle Your Content. This is definitely not an ad for that, but if you're interested in getting the actual training on how we use different programs and how we edit it, you can absolutely check that out at themakersuniversity.com. The whole point of my talk was to let people know what's possible. You can fix your mistakes. You can add audio. You can remove audio. You can brighten. You can stretch. You can cut. You can do all kinds of things to the video once it's done. And everything's just not set in stone anymore. And that's honestly, that was really the lesson that I wanted everyone to know, because I didn't want to sit there for 45 minutes and try to teach 400 people how to edit a video. That just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. So all I wanted to do to them, and all I want to do to you guys, is let you know that if you're not editing video, it's an option, and it's definitely something that can enhance your videos and get them out into different social media platforms. If you're overwhelmed in your business right now, this is absolutely not something that you need to do. But I know some of you guys are out there that are creating some dynamite content, and I don't want that content to just be seen for a few days on Facebook and then disappear forever. Y'all, I can go back onto our YouTube channel and I can find hundreds of tutorials, and I can find exactly what I'm looking for, and people find it every day. And you know what the great part is? We get ad revenue for that. We get paid to have videos just sitting there and people go find them. Y'all, I always talk about the content graveyard. Facebook is kind of like a content graveyard. If someone doesn't see your content, now this is organically, you can obviously pay for ads to get your content out to more people all of the time, constantly. But if you're just going live, you're pressing that live button, or you're posting a video, people are going to see that for a couple days, and then it's never going to get seen again. I call that the content graveyard. So for years, you guys, Damon created video after video after video after video after video, and those videos are just gone. That creation, that tutorial, that image, that stuff is just gone. Sure, I could go get it, and I could, dig back years and years and try to find a photo and a good video. But now we record everything. We have everything that can be reused and re-edited, and it just makes for a whole lot easier time. Damon can make one single video, and we can make almost 13, I think it is. It's either 12 or 13 other pieces of social media content from that one video. And it doesn't even take maybe but a couple hours for our team to take that video, edit it down, reshape it, and then we have a tutorial for YouTube. We have an Instagram Instagram TV video. We have a Pinterest pin. We have a Pinterest video pin. We have a TikTok video. We have all of these things that the team makes out of one piece of content, and that's all done with the power of video editing. So I know a lot of people get overwhelmed when it comes to thinking about they have to do this and that and this. Y'all, if you do one thing really well, you can use one video really well, you can use the power of video editing to kind of reshape it and kind of just spruce it up and change it just a little bit so that it works better on another platform. So I hope that kind of made sense to you guys. I know it was kind of a bit all over the place with what I was talking about on the podcast today and on stage, but it was just really, all of those things were really, really important. And I hope it really helped you guys today. And I hope you kind of maybe just piqued your interest in video editing just a little bit, because it is a nice tool to have in your tool chest for sure. You guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. Y'all have a good day.